The film begins on a magical island called Angel, where a very fast creature named Sonic was born. The villains were eager to capture his incredible powers, forcing him to live a secluded childhood with his guardian, Long. Long asked him not to use his super speed on the island so the villains wouldn't discover him. Sonic reassured her, saying, "Don't worry, no one has seen me." However, the villains soon appeared at his home and attacked him with arrows. Long tried to protect Sonic by taking him and fleeing, but she was struck by an arrow. Realizing she couldn't escape any further, she gave him a bag containing magical rings and told him these rings could transport him anywhere he wanted to go. She opened a portal to Earth and urged him to go. Sonic had no choice but to listen, while she sacrificed herself to protect him. Sonic spent many long years on Earth, living alone and spying on humans. Among those he spied on was Officer Tom, who felt bored due to the lack of crime in his small town and wished to move to a more active city. Tom would watch Sonic blur past him at lightning speed, though he couldn't understand what it was. One day, Sonic caught a turtle and made it run at such high speeds that it was left stunned. Sonic then returned to his hideout, spending his time alone and using his speed to play ping-pong with himself. Sometimes he would look at the bag of rings and then the map Long had given him. One night, he spied on Officer Tom and his wife Maddie as they watched a movie, sitting and watching with them from a distance before leaving again due to his loneliness. The next morning, he saw a group of children playing baseball and was fascinated by the game. He felt joy watching them celebrate together. That night, he returned to the field and played baseball by himself. Using his super speed to act as the entire team, he would throw, hit, and run as though he were playing with others, even celebrating as if there were a crowd. However, he soon realized his solitude and felt deeply sad. Sonic began running around the field at an insane speed, creating a magnetic field that caused a complete power outage in the town of Green Hills. Military leaders gathered to discuss the cause of the power outage, but no one could explain what had happened. The army commander decided that it might involve technology, so he brought in a mad scientist named Robotnik. Officials opposed this decision, arguing that Robotnik was a lunatic, but the commander insisted that he was a genius scientist with many credentials and they had no other option. Robotnik arrived and confronted the army commander, saying, "From now on, I am in charge here." He launched his drones and ordered them to conduct a thorough search of the forest. Indeed, the drones entered the forest and discovered Sonic's footprints. Robotnik analyzed the footprints and realized they didn't belong to a regular animal, but to a creature from another world. He ordered the soldiers and drones to continue searching the forest. When Sonic saw the soldiers searching for him, he grew worried and realized that Earth was no longer a safe place for him. He returned to his hideout to gather his belongings and use one of the magical rings to travel to another planet. As he prepared to leave, he noticed the soldiers getting closer, so he decided to change his destination and headed for Officer Tom's garage, thinking it would be a safer place. However, while there, he made a loud noise, causing Tom to believe that an animal had entered the garage. Tom grabbed a tranquilizer gun and went to investigate. At that moment, Sonic was about to open a portal to another world, but Tom surprised him and shot him with a tranquilizer dart. Before Sonic lost consciousness, he saw San Francisco written on Tom's shirt and accidentally opened a portal to San Francisco, where the bag of rings fell. Tom took Sonic and locked him in a cage. When Sonic regained consciousness, they started talking and made peace. Sonic told Tom that he needed a safe place and admitted that he had been spying on him and his wife Maddie for a while. While they were talking, Robotnik's car arrived at Tom's house as the scientist was following Sonic's footprints. Sonic felt scared and asked Tom for help. Tom sympathized with him and agreed to assist. He hid Sonic upstairs and told him to stay quiet. When Robotnik arrived at the house, he claimed to be from the power company and asked to come in to check the electricity. Tom refused to let him in, saying the meter was outside. When Robotnik couldn't convince Tom, he called in his drones to search the house. Sonic tried to hide among the balls to avoid detection, but soon realized it was a bad idea and came out, making a noise. Robotnik heard the noise and barged into the house, but all he found was a pet. However, Robotnik remained suspicious. He found a hair from Sonic's head and used it to threaten Tom with the drones. He said, "Tell me where he is or I'll kill you!" Fearing for Tom's safety, Sonic came out of hiding. The drones nearly killed both Sonic and Tom, but they managed to hide and then escape in Tom's car. During their escape, Sonic told Tom that he needed to retrieve the bag of rings, as it was the only way to travel between worlds. He told Tom the bag had fallen onto a building rooftop in San Francisco and asked for his help in retrieving it. At first, Tom refused, saying, "I've saved you as requested, and I'm in trouble because of you. I can't help you again." Sonic felt sad and got out of the car. However, he quickly returned and admitted that he couldn't reach San Francisco on his own. Tom reluctantly agreed and let Sonic back into the car. That night, they stopped at a place so Tom could make a phone call. He asked Sonic to stay in the car, but as usual, Sonic didn't listen. He saw a party at the location and decided to go watch it. Meanwhile, Tom was speaking with a colleague from the police department to ask about the situation in the city. The officer told him that people were looking for him and suspected he was a terrorist with bombs and weapons. Robotnik seized the opportunity, took the phone from the officer, and spoke to Tom, saying, "No one can challenge me. I've never lost a battle in my life, and I promise you, I'll find you." Tom hung up and went inside to look for Sonic, finding him disguised inside the party. He told him to leave immediately, but Sonic insisted on staying for a little longer, saying, "There are so many things I want to do on Earth before I leave." Tom agreed to give him just 1 hour. The two of them enjoyed their time at the party, playing and dancing together. While Tom and Sonic were sitting in a bar enjoying a drink, a man approached and began bullying Sonic, mistaking him for a small child due to his appearance. Sonic didn't take kindly to this and started provoking the man, which led to the man attacking Tom and crashing into someone else in the bar. Suddenly, a brawl broke out and everyone started fighting. Sonic took advantage of his super speed, moving so fast that everyone around him seemed to move in slow motion. He quickly removed Tom from the dangerous situation and then started messing with others, setting traps for them. As a result, some of them tripped and others crashed into glass. In the end, everyone was on the floor. Tom and Sonic quickly left the bar and managed to escape to a hotel to spend the night. There, Tom saw on the news that he was now wanted by the authorities and labeled as a terrorist. The next morning, Robotnik learned that Tom and Sonic had been in the bar that night and managed to track down the hotel they were staying at. He started heading there to search for them. Meanwhile, Tom and Sonic had already left the hotel and were walking down the road. Suddenly, Robotnik launched a tank to chase them down the road. The tank reached Tom's car and fired a spear at it, but Sonic jumped out of the car and dashed toward the tank. Using his skills, he managed to flip the tank over and stop it, celebrating his success before returning to the car. However, Robotnik didn't give up. He deployed another smaller vehicle from the tank and launched small bombs toward them. Sonic used his speed to gather the bombs and return them to the small vehicle, causing damage to it. But it wasn't completely destroyed, as a small motorcycle came out of it. Tom managed to get rid of the motorcycle and destroy it, but a small piece of it broke off and hit the car's roof. Sonic grabbed the piece and tried to disassemble it, only to discover that it contained a bomb. The two were forced to stop in the forest, where Sonic tried to get rid of the bomb. It was stuck to his hand, and after several attempts, he managed to remove it, but it exploded near him, knocking him out. Tom, deeply worried about Sonic, decided to take him to his wife Maddie, who worked as a veterinarian. He wrapped Sonic in a blanket to hide him, but when they arrived, Maddie's sister, Rich, refused to let Tom in, since he was now wanted by the police. At that moment, her dog started barking and pulled the blanket off of Sonic, revealing him. When Rich saw him, she fainted in shock. Meanwhile, Robotnik was conducting experiments on the hair from Sonic's head that he had found at Tom's house. He discovered that the energy in the hair was limitless and decided to use its power to develop a new vehicle capable of super speeds like Sonic's. back with Tom and Maddie, Maddie tried to treat Sonic even though she had never seen a creature like him before. Maddie's niece Jojo noticed Sonic's shoes were torn and decided to give him a new pair. Sonic was incredibly happy, as it was the first gift he had ever received in his life. Tom and Maddie took Sonic to San Francisco, where they reached the building where the magical rings had fallen. Tom placed Sonic in a bag and entered the building, pretending to be a police officer. He told the employee there was an issue on the building's rooftop and that he needed to go up immediately. The employee agreed to let him go up. On the roof, Sonic found the bag of rings. Although he had retrieved them, he didn't want to leave Earth because he had become so attached to Tom. He said to Tom, "These 2 days have been some of the best days of my life. Thank you for saving my life." Tom and Sonic thought the mission had been successful and Sonic threw the ring, but suddenly drone aircraft appeared in the air around them and Dr. Robotnik appeared in his new aircraft. Robotnik began firing at them using the drones. Sonic decided to save Tom and Maddie, so he threw them off the building and opened a portal with one of the rings. As missiles were launched towards Sonic, he used his super speed to avoid them, but was hit by a missile and lost consciousness for a moment. After regaining consciousness, he opened another portal and sent Tom and Maddie to Green Hills, but he couldn't control his speed and fell to the ground. Robotnik faced him mockingly, saying, "My advice to you, don't run for no reason. It's a futile effort." Sonic ignored his words, gathered his rings, and started running through the streets of the city, with Robotnik's plane, now as fast as Sonic, chasing him. Sonic continued to use the rings to travel between cities, but was surprised to find that Robotnik was following him each time. They crossed into a portal to the pyramids, where Robotnik destroyed part of the Sphinx, then chased him through another portal back to Green Hills. In Green Hills, Sonic was unconscious, while Robotnik was confident that victory was near. Tom picked up the bag of rings from the ground and confronted Robotnik bravely. Robotnik asked, "Why risk your life for this strange creature?" Tom answered, "This strange creature has more human qualities than you, and he's my friend. I'll keep defending him." At that moment, Sonic regained consciousness and emitted powerful electric waves. Tom and Maddie moved out of the way, and Sonic started attacking Robotnik's plane with the waves, saying, "I won't run anymore. I'll stand and defend my friends." Robotnik retaliated by launching a large number of missiles at Sonic, but Sonic dodged them all. He continued hitting Robotnik's plane, saying, "I'm not leaving Earth, but you are." At that point, Tom opened a portal to another world, and Sonic rushed in, colliding with Robotnik and sending him through the portal. Tom and Sonic returned to their normal lives. Sonic felt incredibly happy to have friends. Things returned to normal in the city, and Tom and Maddie started preparing their new home. Later, a military officer visited Tom to inform him that all charges against him had been dropped and gave him a reward for not speaking about the battle to anyone. Meanwhile, Sonic settled in with Tom and Maddie, who had set up a special room just for him. This moment was very joyful for Sonic, and he thanked them for being a part of his life. On the other hand, Robotnik had arrived on a new planet called Mushroom Planet, a world devoid of humans and living creatures. However, he still kept a hair from Sonic. After 243 days, Robotnik managed to develop a machine using Sonic's hair energy to return to Earth. But his plan didn't go as he had hoped. A massive energy explosion caused him to lose consciousness, leading to the opening of a portal to a strange world from which soldiers emerged in an unusual manner. They tried to approach Robotnik, but he regained consciousness suddenly, activated the traps he had set, and eliminated all of them. After that, Robotnik began running toward the portal, attempting to use it to achieve his future goals. Suddenly, a creature resembling Sonic called Knuckles emerged from the portal. He saw the strand of Sonic's hair with Robotnik and asked, "Where did you get this hair from?" Robotnik replied, "I took it from a blue creature on Earth, and I can easily lead you to him." The scene then shifted to Seattle, where the police were chasing bank robbers who had stolen a bank car. Sonic saw the chase and decided to intervene. He approached the bank car, knocked out the drivers, and took their place, taking control of the vehicle. He began maneuvering to stop the robbers in the trunk of the car, but his actions caused money to scatter all over the place. Sonic discovered that there were bombs in the car, about to explode. He tried to stop the car, but the brakes weren't working. He decided to get rid of the bombs quickly and threw them into a dumpster to avoid any harm. He then noticed that the car was about to crash into an ice cream cart. So he used his super speed and disassembled the car completely to avoid the collision. This way, he helped the police capture the robbers. After the mission, Sonic returned home to Green Hills. He took out the owl feather Long, which had raised him, and reminisced fondly about the days spent with her, saying, "I'll make you proud." The next day, Sonic woke up to Maddie, who told him that he had a hunting trip with Tom. While hunting, Sonic felt tired and fell asleep. But he fell into the water, prompting Tom to rush to save him since he couldn't swim. Tom said, "I came into your room last night and didn't find you there. I found a doll in your shape and I knew you went to Seattle to fight crime." He showed him the news about the events from the night before. Tom gave Sonic some advice. "You shouldn't reveal yourself like that in front of people. You're putting your identity at risk, along with the chaos you leave behind. Like the money flying out of the car, you're also putting people's lives in danger." Sonic felt troubled because he had dreamed of becoming a superhero. Tom continued, "You're still young, and you need to wait until you mature to be able to save the world from crime." At the end of the week, Tom and Maddie were preparing to travel to Hawaii for Rachel's wedding, Maddie's sister. Instead of traveling by train, they asked Sonic to open a portal that would take them to Hawaii. After their farewell, Sonic gave Tom a ring he could use to return to Green Hills. Sonic stayed alone at home for 48 hours, and he decided to use the time to do everything he had always wanted. Meanwhile, a portal appeared in the city, from which emerged a creature resembling Sonic, named Tails, carrying a device to track Sonic's location. That night, while Sonic was watching TV, the power suddenly went out. He heard a creepy sound outside the house, so he approached the door and saw the handle being destroyed. The door opened and Robotnik appeared. Sonic said, "I don't know how you came back, but you made a big mistake coming here." Sonic rushed to attack, but Knuckles suddenly appeared and hit him with such force that he flew away. Knuckles began destroying the house, and Sonic tried to attack him quickly, but Knuckles managed to stop him with one hand. He grabbed him and said, "I came here to do what my ancestors failed to do, and reclaim the power that was stolen from my tribe." Sonic didn't understand what Knuckles was talking about, and just before Knuckles struck him again, a police car appeared and collided with Knuckles. The driver was Tails, who asked Sonic to ride with her. They quickly moved away from the scene while Knuckles chased after them. Tails introduced herself to Sonic, saying, "It's an honor to meet you, Sonic." Sonic realized that Knuckles was the most dangerous warrior in the galaxy, and he had come to Earth to steal the Master Emerald. Tails told him that Sonic was the only one who could reach the location of the Emerald. Both of them thought they had successfully escaped from Knuckles, but suddenly Knuckles appeared and jumped onto their car. Tails suggested a plan to get rid of him, where she crashed the car into a wall and they almost fell off. But Tails grabbed Sonic and they flew away. In that moment, Knuckles jumped out of the car before it exploded. Meanwhile, Robotnik arrived at the location and saw Sonic and Tails flying off. He called his assistant and asked him to send his weapons. The assistant sent advanced drones to Knuckles. Robotnik spoke to Knuckles and asked him about the power that had been stolen from him. Knuckles replied, "That's none of your business. Our agreement was that you would escape me from the Mushroom Planet and bring me here, and that's all." Robotnik offered Knuckles a new alliance, saying, "I'll help you get the Master Emerald you're looking for, and you can use it to eliminate Sonic." Knuckles agreed to the alliance. As for Sonic, he took Tails to the home of a police officer named Wade, who had a map that he had obtained from Long, which contained the symbol of the Master Emerald. Suddenly, the map glowed, and a halo appeared in the shape of Long. Sonic was happy to see her again, and she said, "If you can see me now, it means I'm in trouble. I hope you've made it to Earth. I sent you here for an important reason. The Master Emerald is here on Earth. This emerald has the ability to turn thoughts into reality, and if it falls into the wrong hands, the universe will be in great danger. Long added, "It was my responsibility to protect the Master Emerald, and now it's your responsibility. Follow the map and you'll find the emerald." She bid him farewell and then disappeared. Sonic promised her that he wouldn't disappoint her. He learned from the map that there was a compass in Siberia that would help him reach the emerald. He opened a portal to Siberia, and when they arrived, they were surprised by a fierce storm. They sought shelter in the nearest restaurant and ordered food. During their conversation, Tails told him, "I started watching you when you created the magnetic field at the baseball field. When I learned that Knuckles was coming after you, I decided to come and warn you." While Sonic was responding to a message he thought was from Tom, it turned out to be from Stone, Robotnik's assistant. Stone was asking Robotnik, "Why are we working with this creature called Knuckles?" Robotnik replied, "Once we find the emerald, we'll get rid of him. I expect the emerald will power my greatest inventions." Robotnik managed to track Sonic and Tails' location and realized they were in Siberia, so he decided to follow them. At the restaurant, Sonic and Tails' food arrived, but it wasn't what Tails had ordered. She used her translation device, but it malfunctioned and insulted the waiter, causing the waiter to get angry and rally the people around them. Sonic tried to clarify the misunderstanding, but the people discovered that they weren't human and tried to throw them into the fire. Tails saved the situation and challenged the crowd. The people agreed to let Sonic and Tails leave peacefully if they won the challenge, but if they lost, they would be burned. The challenge was a dance-off. The opponent gave a strong performance, but Sonic and Tails performed an amazing routine that made them win. The opponent was stunned by their performance, and everyone celebrated them. Afterward, Tails hugged Sonic to express her joy at having a friend. She told him, "When I was little, no one would be friends with me because I was different. They stayed away from me. But you were different too, being the fastest being in the galaxy, and yet you were a legend. You inspired me to leave my village and help you on your mission." Sonic felt happy to hear that and said to her, "I'm glad to have you with me." Then they decided to sleep in the restaurant that night. The next morning, Sonic and Tails began their journey through the mountains until they reached the cave marked on the map. In front of them stood a massive gate, and Tails started translating the inscriptions on it. The text told the story of warriors from the Ekna tribe who had gathered the 7 Chaos Emeralds centuries ago and crafted a powerful weapon known as the Master Emerald. This emerald granted its wielder the power to defeat an entire army. However, the bird tribe believed no one was worthy of such immense power, so they stole the emerald from the Ekna warrior and decided to protect it from falling into the hands of evil. Since then, the emerald had been under the protection of Long. After hearing this story, Sonic and Tails advanced until they reached a giant door. Sonic began moving the symbols as shown on the map, and suddenly the statue shifted, revealing a compass that would lead them to the Chaos Emerald. But at that moment, Dr. Robotnik's drones appeared, along with Knuckles. Dr. Robotnik began firing missiles at Sonic, but Sonic grabbed one and threw it at Knuckles, destroying one of the drones. Everyone quickly left the cave, and Tails started flying while Sonic carried her and ran away. The drones pursued them, firing shots, but Sonic used snowballs to block them. Despite his ability to eliminate most of the drones, their numbers were vast, and they began shooting laser beams at him. Thanks to his incredible speed, Sonic easily dodged the lasers. However, Knuckles managed to catch up with Sonic and demanded the compass. Sonic refused. A battle broke out between them, ending with Sonic falling down a steep hill and all his rings scattered. Knuckles said, "You and your tribe are evil and don't deserve the Chaos Emerald." He added, "You've lost everything because of you." Knuckles began telling his story. "In the past, my tribe hunted Long, and my father was preparing to join the attack on her. My father decided not to take me with him, and that was the last time I saw him. They all went to war against Long on the same day you were sent to Earth. Suddenly, Tails fired an electric device at Knuckles, and Sonic took the opportunity to throw the compass to Tails so she could escape with it. But Robotnik appeared suddenly, stole the compass, and fired a missile at Tails, causing her to lose consciousness. Sonic rushed to Tails to check on her, preferring to save her over retrieving the compass. This act impressed Knuckles, who began to doubt Robotnik's intentions. Meanwhile, the icy mountain began to collapse. Robotnik and Knuckles fled while Sonic carried Tails and ran away. However, he couldn't use his full speed because he was carrying Tails. Elsewhere, Rachel, Maddie's sister, was preparing for her wedding. Sonic called Tom during the ceremony and asked him to use the magic ring to save them. Tom tried to act quickly but discovered that the ring had been mixed up with the groom's ring. Tom had to request a replacement, but Rachel thought he was crazy and asked the groom to ignore him. In the end, Tom had to punch the groom and take the ring. He opened the portal just in time, allowing Sonic to arrive amid the collapsing ice. Afterward, Sonic tried to explain the situation to Tom and Maddie, telling them that Robotnik had returned, but he couldn't wake Tails, who was still unconscious. Suddenly, a net was thrown over Sonic. It was the groom's doing, who turned out to be an investigator, and his team was a secret unit tasked with capturing Sonic. Rachel was shocked when she discovered her groom had been lying to her. Sonic, Tails, and Tom were arrested. Maddie tried to defend Sonic, saying he was not a threat to the planet but was helping them. The unit leader responded, "Due to what happened in San Francisco, a new unit has been formed to protect the planet from aliens." Maddie was shocked and said to him, "Robotnik has returned to Earth and Sonic and Tails are the only ones capable of stopping him." The leader instructed the device to search for Robotnik and capture him. Meanwhile, Jojo handed Maddie Sonic's bag, which contained Tails and Maddie's devices. Rachel and Maddie decided to cooperate, while the authorities took Sonic and his companions and detained them in a hotel suite. When they arrived, Rachel used a device from Tails' bag to throw at the officer outside the hotel, activating an anti-gravity field that sent him flying away. Meanwhile, Robotnik had managed to reach the location of the Chaos Emerald using the compass. Green lights and symbols appeared on the ground, and the lighting moved toward the sea, where a green beam shot into the sky, causing an explosion in the water and opening a path for Robotnik to reach the Chaos Emerald. Sonic saw the green beam and wanted to go alone to stop Robotnik and protect his friends. Tails tried to follow him, but she was exhausted. Sonic reached the water's edge, tried to gather his energy to run at high speed across the surface of the water, but a storm at sea made him lose consciousness. When he woke up, he found himself at the temple housing the emerald. At the same time, Robotnik and Knuckles were avoiding traps in the area. Knuckles used his strength to save them, and after a while, they reached a maze inside the temple. Robotnik used a small drone to scan and indicate the correct direction, while Sonic used his speed to avoid the traps that hindered them. Soon, Robotnik and Knuckles reached the Chaos Emerald, where Knuckles was excited to regain the power passed down from his ancestors. However, Robotnik was planning to betray Knuckles and get rid of him. When Sonic entered, he told Knuckles that if he wanted the emerald, he would have to go through him first. The two began to fight, with Knuckles delivering powerful blows, but Sonic didn't give up easily, focusing on his incredible speed. Although their strikes were fierce, they didn't affect Knuckles much. At the same time, Robotnik was planning to seize the emerald. When Knuckles saw that Sonic was right about Robotnik's intentions, he told Robotnik that they hadn't agreed to this. But Robotnik, laughing, told him that he had no love for friendship. He then took the Chaos Emerald and gained its power while the temple began to collapse. Sonic was about to escape, but when he saw Knuckles in danger, he submerged himself in the water to save him. However, Sonic didn't know how to swim, so Knuckles went down to save him, and both succeeded in rescuing each other, improving their relationship. After Tails arrived with the plane, Sonic offered Knuckles to be friends, and Knuckles agreed, shaking his hand. On the other side, Officer Wade was inside a cafe in Green Hills and discovered that Stone, Robotnik's assistant, was working there and helping Robotnik with his mission. Wade stormed into the place and arrested him, But in a surprising moment, Robotnik appeared and quickly teleported to the location after gaining teleportation powers from the Chaos Emerald, freeing Stone from his handcuffs. Stone informed him that the army had surrounded the area and wanted to capture Robotnik. Meanwhile, the leader, Tom, and Maddie arrived at the scene, but Robotnik flew out in front of them. The leader tried to convince him to surrender, but Robotnik demonstrated his power by easily dismantling the tank and destroying it, then dismantling the planes and vehicles. Thanks to the Emerald's power, Robotnik began turning his thoughts into reality, extracting parts from the planes and tanks to create a giant robot. Robotnik was inside the robot, controlling it, and everyone was stunned by what they saw. At the same moment, a plane carrying Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles arrived. They had no idea how to fight this giant robot, but Robotnik started firing missiles at them. Tails managed to dodge some, while Knuckles jumped out of the plane and ran toward the robot to strike it, but his hits had no effect. Afterward, the robot hit Sonic with a missile, sending him flying, while the robot destroyed the plane with ease. Sonic tried to come back using the missile that hit him, but the strike had no effect on the robot. While the three of them were thinking of a plan to attack the robot, they decided to unite. Sonic would distract Robotnik, while Tails would use her intelligence, Knuckles would use his strength, and Sonic would use his speed. Sonic began distracting Robotnik, while Tails and Knuckles climbed onto the robot unnoticed. While Robotnik was hitting Sonic with laser beams, Sonic managed to escape and fell from the bridge. At that moment, Tails used her cloning ability to distract Robotnik, giving Knuckles a chance to strike him. However, Sonic lost the Chaos Emerald, but Robotnik used the robot's backup energy and continued advancing toward the Emerald. At the last moment, when the robot was about to defeat Sonic, Tom and Maddie arrived just in time to save him. While Robotnik tried to seize the Emerald, it began transforming into the original 7 Chaos Emeralds. Robotnik used firepower against them, but Sonic told them to stay back, saying they were family and wouldn't move. Then the emeralds absorbed Sonic's chaos energy, and his color turned yellow, gaining unprecedented power. He used this power to lift the robot's leg and destroy its head. After defeating Robotnik, he tried to plead with Sonic to start fresh, but Sonic easily stopped his hand. Then, Sonic destroyed the robot completely while Robotnik trembled from the defeat. After using the emerald's power, Sonic decided to enjoy his life, so he took the emeralds and returned to his normal form. Tom and Maddie hugged him, and Tails asked him why he gave up the emeralds, to which he said that he needed to mature first. Knuckles gathered the 7 emeralds and returned the gem to its place, saying he had spent his life searching for it, but didn't know what to do now. Sonic suggested they form a team to protect the universe from any dangers, and everyone agreed. In the final scene, they joined as one family, playing baseball together before heading out for ice cream. At the battle site, the leader and the soldiers were searching for Robotnik, but he had completely disappeared. At that moment, they discovered a hidden file containing coordinates to a secret research facility, where there was a creature resembling Sonic called Shadow, who was in deep hibernation. Suddenly, Shadow woke up, becoming part of the 3rd chapter of the story.
If you love movies and movie recaps, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more. Hit like if you enjoyed the video and share your thoughts in the comments. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.